Welcome to Muddy River News This Week, furnished by Harvey's. I'm Bob Goff. The Quincy Salvation Army has been a place for years that has helped those who've needed it, and its mission has also shifted a little bit to help people get back in shape, take care of kids, and other things with the building of the Kroc Center about 10 years ago. But we have some new majors in town, and we're going to talk to one of them today. We're talking to Major Shelley McClintock. Welcome.
Hi, thanks.
So you've been at your post about 5 months, you said?
Yeah, just about 5 months.
And you came from where?
Omaha, Nebraska.
So a little smaller town.
Yep.
How do you like Quincy so far?
We love it. We love Quincy. I love being able to go into Walmart or anywhere in town and somebody says, "Oh, you're the new majors. Welcome to Quincy." And that's happened to us multiple times. And so I love that. I love where people know who you are and we get to know who they are.
Quincy has always been very supportive of the Salvation Army, supportive of pretty much any worthwhile cause. Yeah. So you've come to a place that's very welcoming, and of course that's important because you have a pretty big mission.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We the Salvation Army has such a big footprint here in this community. The Kroc Center being one of them, but also our emergency services and our family stores that support those emergency services, our shelter, and we also have some responsibility in Hannibal as well. And so we, got some great staff and volunteers that help us out down there. So, yeah, 8 counties that we serve in this area, and we're grateful to be a part of it.
So your first 5 months, you came in at a time. You come in at a time where we hope we're finishing with the pandemic, but it seems to have ebbs and flows. How have you and your team braced that?
It's like anywhere. You go with it, and we know it's going to change and shift every day, and we're trying to do our best to stay healthy and to keep the people around us healthy, and you just never really know what's coming down the pipe next. It depends if you watch the news, depends on how many variants are showing up today or tomorrow, or and I don't think anyone knows. And so our goal is just to keep on serving no matter what, and however that looks, might be with a mask on, might not be. Sure. We might sanitize a little more than we did before, and that's not a bad thing either. So.
When you, in talking about that, I mean, emergency services, when people see the Salvation Army, they'll talk about, when you have to mobilize to go to a disaster or what have you, but when we have our own situations here, I remember you were here, were you here about the time when the whole Welcome In situation happened?
Yeah, that was week 1.
Wow, well, that's
yes.
Welcome to Quincy,
yeah.
I guess. So I know you guys were very active there, the trucks were there, and you were doing everything, and you did your best to work with the other service agencies to kind of help those folks find shelter and food and what they needed, right?
Yeah, that was a wonderful introduction to Quincy. In spite of the difficulty that those 300 residents found themselves in, and despite the horrible living conditions they were in, it was a wonderful opportunity for us to get to know the other agencies in town, to see our team shine and work so well. I remember that morning where we rolled up, and so did the police and everyone else, and folks came out of those apartments scared and a little shell-shocked, and they recognized our staff. Our staff knew their names, and they brought such a comfort to the situation and a peace to the situation, and were able to interact with people on a first-name basis and get them the services they needed. And so as difficult as that situation was, it needed to happen. I spent some time in some of those apartments that day, and it needed to happen, but it also just showed us what an excellent, awesome community this is, and how people just rallied around to help our neighbors in need.
You mentioned your shelter earlier. Are you still at the COVID capacity, or are you able to get back full yet?
We are at COVID capacity, but we're also putting people on cots in the great room. There's a little more space there, so I know that there were up to 7 folks on cots over the weekend. It was a cold Thursday, Friday at least this weekend, and so we still have to be careful. The last thing we want is an outbreak in the shelter, and if all the staff get COVID, then we're in real trouble.
Oh,
so,
yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah, that could cause a bigger crisis. So, but yeah, we can spread out, and we're we don't turn anyone away. So
Sure.
if they come to our door and they need a place to stay, we find somewhere for them.
Is that tough to do? Is it tough to find places for people these days?
It is. It really is. You know, the Welcome Inn is kind of horrible as that place was. That was our transitional place. That was our place that we were able to help people kind of regroup and get back on their feet before we could find some more permanent housing. And now all of those places are gone in this community. And so I know that you're fully aware, and so many other people are aware of the housing need in this community for affordable permanent housing and even transitional housing when someone's coming out of shelter in order to get on their feet and save some money to get a deposit and first month's rent and all that. So yeah, there's definitely a need. We're actually going to be starting some strategic planning in January. And that's going to definitely be one of our focuses, as we know it is the focus of our city government and the United Way and others as well.
You also work with, I'm sure, closely with the city's general assistance office in Two Rivers and people like that to kind of help those who need help. And especially, like you said, summertime, you know, it's one thing, but as our temperatures drop, it becomes critical need. And it seems, and again, there's nothing scientific here or anything, but it seems I've seen more people kind of out and about who seem to need those services these days.
Yeah, for sure. You know, and my experience has been that people, for the most part, don't choose to be homeless.
Oh, sure.
But they either suffer from addiction or a mental illness that causes them to not be able to stay in a place or feel safe in a place. And so, you know, the word says there's always going to be the poor among us, and there's always going to be people who need our help. And so our goal is just to help as we can and as we're able. And of course, we have to work with other agencies. There's never going to be anyone that can carry the full burden.
No question about it. And funding is very important, but this is the time of year where we see all the red kettles out.
Yes.
And I try to do my part every year to ring some bells, and I know many other communities many other citizens in the community do that. How has that rollout been so far this year?
It's been going good. It's been going well. There's always, the weather can always play such a role in fundraising, bell ringing, kettles effort. And so we've had some beautiful, beautiful days,
Right.
which are great if you're the bell ringer and out there all day. But a little snow is also nice, you know, to have. But it's going well. It's going really well. We have such a wonderful, supportive community, and we're, again, grateful to be a part of this community.
And those kinds of campaigns, I mean, I know, as I said earlier, Quincy's always been very supportive of those sorts of things, but there's always, there are always groups who have capital campaigns, who have annual campaigns, and all that kind of stuff. And I know many people who will sit there and say, okay, I've got my budget for this year, and I know this year I'm going to do this with this group and this with that group, and that's always good. In being part of that, I guess, how close do you work with the United Way as part of that, or do anything separate with that?
Yeah, we're a partnering agency
Okay.
of the United Way, and so we work with them as well, and we work with them as well. And
Okay.
so our Christmas campaign has a lot of different aspects to it. So not only is it bell ringing, but kind of a one-of-a-kind kind of thing is this bucket blitz that's coming
Yeah.
up this week in our smaller communities, and then next week in Quincy, which Trevor and I have never experienced
Oh, okay.
before. So we're excited for that, to see what that looks like. And
So I was going to ask
definitely.
you if that was so that's next week. You're going to be doing that here out at the mall or the town center, I
Yes,
guess.
the
now,
town center.
so.
Yep, we
Okay.
will be there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in Quincy, and then Tuesday, Wednesday in Hannibal.
All right. Well, that's and again the work in Hannibal as well. I know we are one big area here that we with Hannibal and Quincy have been sister communities, cities, whatever for years, and a lot of those kind of things that go along. And people, of course, travel back and forth. I have family over there. Many people have family on both sides of the river. So in working with that group, is there always a chance that where if you need some help at this end, you can always draw from the other end and vice versa? I seen that seems to work out.
Sure. We have our own Hannibal has its own advisory council, which helps us make decisions and lead that community. And then we have just a handful of staff there, but we do have staff that travel between both offices based on their role in our direct services and so forth. But definitely, yeah, people are very willing to help each other out. We're grateful. Mm-hmm.
And again, as you're transitioning into Quincy, and what are some of the things when you come into a new? Because I know you folks get moved around quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the things that you and your husband, your team have to come in and do and say, okay, this is what we have to do, and we'll get acclimated. And how much of that is you want to come in and just fit in, or are there things where you come in like, well, could we make a couple changes? Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. Mm-hmm. It's always a good rule of thumb to don't change anything the first year.
Sure.
That's kind of one of those things we've learned 20 some years ago when we first became officers, that's a good rule of thumb. But sometimes, we each bring our own experience and our own ideas and our own experience. And so it's good to be able to share those. And we have such professional staff here that things run very smoothly, even without us, I would hate to say, which is wonderful. That's the way it should be. They're folks that this is their community, this is their Salvation Army, and they know what they're doing, and we love that about this community. But Trevor and I have had some unique experiences. We've been in larger cities and smaller communities. We've been in more of an urban area and then a rural area, and then life experience as well.
Sure.
And so we hope to bring some of the stuff that we've picked up along the way to Quincy, and of course I'm sure there will be things we'll pick up here, and then when the Lord and the Salvation Army decide we need to move on, we'll take what we've learned here.
Well, welcome you and Major Trevor McClintock as well, as this is Major Shelley McClintock. Welcome you guys here to Quincy, and glad you're finding it a welcoming community. And again, we just wanted to have you on right before the holidays to kind of remind everybody about the Salvation Army and the mission and giving, and because this is the time of the year. Well, it's always needed, but especially this time of the year.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having us. And,
right.
and like you said, we raise money this time of year because it helps all throughout the year as Absolutely. We serve our neighbors in need. And so we're thankful. Thanks for having us.
Sure. Yeah. Well, that's all we have for Muddy River News this week. I'm Bob Goff. Have a great week.